Good morning, gang. Joyce with Skipping Calves Farms here. Doing the middle of a morning chore, and I just thought I'd follow up and kind of share a little bit. Now, some things are going to seem kind of repetitive because guess what? Chores are repetitive, and all I can do is tell you what I'm doing and try and explain you what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. And so this morning, what I'm doing is I am spraying some more JMS solution, which stands for Jadam Microbial Solution, onto my garden, and I'm giving this particular bed a super soak. Now this is the bed that had my peanuts, cantaloupe, watermelon, corn, bell peppers. Those black bushes are basil. These are all bell peppers. And then I had 3 cabbages, one of which I had for dinner last night. That was good. So you can see where I cut it off yesterday. Those are some leaves that didn't make the cut. And so today I'm coming back through. We had rain last night. The soil's real wet. This particular bed, this is the first year it's really ever been grown in. I tried a few peanuts last year, but it's never really been amended. It's never really been, it's not had the years that these have had. About 3 years of working and watering and dealing with and trying to help. So the soil over here is better than the soil over here. If you saw that earlier video I did when I was taking the peanuts out, when I took the peanuts out over here next to that fencing, it just came up and the soil just crumbled off. Well, let's take a quick walk back up this row, and you can see there's a lot of rusty color to the soil. Now this is still damp. I've not watered this yet, but this is still damp. But what you can still see is where the one thing I had done was I had come through and I had it covered. That's actually my plastic there. It's got water in it and I can't move it, and I haven't really tried to get somebody to help me get it, but that's why it's kind of sitting there, because I can't take care of it by myself. Anyway, so when you come through with a broad fork, when you have real hard, tight clays, what it does is it breaks things up into 4 to 6 inch kind of square chunks. Now, when I do a broad fork, one of the techniques I was taught was you do, let's see, I'm going to do this way. So here's my fingers, and these fingers are the tines of the broad fork. So you go in and you do the broad fork here, and then on the next step forward you step over a half, and then the next step forward you step over a half. And what that does is it keeps you from getting rows of hard. It breaks it up in both dimensions. And so as you look through, you'll see there's lots of kind of rectangular looking hard chunks, and believe you me, they are hard chunks. I mean, it's damp now, so the rain made a liar out of me. But you know, the clay in here is soft now, but when these things are dry, these things are almost as hard as concrete. And that was a problem for the peanuts. That's one of the reasons why I got such a bad harvest from them. But that's okay. You just got to deal with where you're at, and that's what you do. Thankfully, I wasn't depending upon it as my main source of food, right? So I probably have enough peanuts for 2 football games and seeds for the next year. So this is the area that's not been sprayed. Now you can kind of see over here, it's a little bit darker. It's still kind of chunky. but it just got watered. So it's still kind of chunky, but it's watered, and so it's a little bit darker. Now this row actually went fallow last year, with the exception of a couple of volunteer peanuts, because I had peanuts in here the year before. And so you can see here that these are not big, heavy chunks anymore. These are all kind of a little bit loose. And even though it's still kind of light colored rusty, you can see I've got wood chips that are rotting, and you can see where there is some changing of the color a little bit. I don't know if you can see it on the phone like I can. Oh, look, we got a little earthworm. Look at the earthworm. Let's put it back to bed. So it is a process. It took me 3 years before I could finally get a tater crop out of that row over there by the plastic fencing, without doing a lot of mechanical or physical or chemical or biological amendments. I didn't know about all that stuff, and I didn't have the resources, either time or money, to do all that stuff. So anyway, this is where we're at, and so I'm coming through. What I'm using for the JMS today is I'm using just this one. I'm using, shoot, I'm looking at it and not looking at the camera. I'm using just one of these cheap 1 gallon sprayers, because when I tried to come through and spray with the garden hose and the hose end sprayer, it just wasn't working. So I want to make sure I get some foundational microbes in the soil. It's still getting up into the 60s and 70 degree temperatures. We're going to be having some pretty good rain. Pretty good rain meaning we're going to be cloudy. We're going to have a little bit of rain here and there. And then we're going to have like 1 day of hard rain. And that's really good to put the amendments in first. And then when you come through and nature soaks it down, then it pushes Chris Trump talks about that, pushes the microbes down into the soil, so they'll be down in the root zone when the time is needed. Now, people tell you microbes go dormant during the wintertime, and that's not totally true. They do thrive with living roots, but they're not going to go totally dead. Just like people will tell you bees will go totally dead in the wintertime. Well, they don't here. They actually still raise a very small amount of brood. But for all intents and purposes, it's a functional equivalent. But with the microbes, they breed so fast that even when they go dormant, they're going to create either a cyst or a spore. And that cyst or spore, as soon as the environment gets good for the microbes, they'll come back to life and just rock and roll. That's what they do every spring. So even if I can only double or triple my microbes from what I'm putting into the soil now to what I put in the soil spring, I'm starting from a microbial ecology of 300%. If you don't think that's very much, I will encourage you to go online and look up doubling a penny every day for a month. If you start with a penny, then you got 2, then you got 4, then you got 8, then you got 16, 32, 64, etc. At the end of week 3, you've got $10,000. At the end of week 4, on day 28, you've got over $1 million. At the end of day 31, you have almost $11 million. So if you're starting with 300% more to start with, and these guys breed exponentially, catch my drift? Yeah. So in other words, they will be in a position to explode in the spring like they won't be able to, no matter how much you put down, because it's just a function of the time. And it's really kind of hard to play catch up. You'd have to put so much more down. And anyway, but I'm really kind of pleased, you know, from looking right here where we were looking at this peanut dirt soil. That's really come kind of a long way. That's come a long way. So, and how did it get there? I used two things. I used wood chips and I used cardboard. Three things, I apologize. I used wood chips, I used cardboard, and initially I solarized everything with the plastic. So I'd cover it with wood chips and cardboard and then cover it with plastic. And then that drew earthworms in all winter. And so there you have it. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Most of the stuff around here is ugly. It's not pretty. But it is what it is. So with that, gang, I will wish you blessings for the day. It is a pretty day, though. Gosh, look. Is that not too bad for an office view? How about a window view from your desk, huh? And that's the only cackling I have to put up with. I don't have to put up with other cackling like I used to at work. You know what I'm talking about too, don't you? So, so with that, gang, I hope you have a great week. I wish you blessings for the day. And whatever you do, just keep chasing your dream.